Howdy, and welcome to the channel. And today we're gonna go over one of my recent purchases. So for those of you who've not watched the channel very long, I very often say that all these mini batteries that we have behind me can be used on both the new tools and the older tools. Well, I actually did something. I went to eBay
and I found this.
A new old stock Ryobi drill. This is model P922 because I wanted to prove that these batteries still work on something that, as far as I can tell, came out in 2005. So will these batteries still work on this drill? So let's go ahead and open up our box. Let's look at the tool, see how the tool is, see if there's any features that this tool has versus the newer ones, and let's see if it can actually be run by these new batteries. Let's go ahead and pull this out. We've got our drill. Looks like we have a depth gauge, a handle. Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
We have something that will actually allow you to connect this to your tool belt or to the wall, and it actually connects to the bottom of the battery pack. So that's everything. Now let's get this assembled real quick so we can take a look at it. So this system of putting it together is definitely a little bit different than the newer one. It has two cogs here that line up on the tool itself. The piece itself has a composite material, and then we have a metal piece, and then the actual handle itself. So let's line this up, and then we just screw our handle on. And then we do have our depth stop here, so we need to turn that. And then this is not necessarily a quick adjust. It actually tightens with this metal portion here. So let me show you on the hammer drill. On the hammer drill here, we have the same thing. We have a stop gauge. For this one, all you have to do is simply press your thumb down, and then you take your stop gauge and you move it through. So that one's really simple to change the depth that you're trying to do. This one, however, is way more of a challenge because you actually have to unscrew this, and then after you get it loose, you can move your rod back and forth. Ryobi's definitely improved on it, and the handle itself is actually a little cumbersome whenever you compare it to one of the new ones, because on the new one, it is extremely simple to move this from side to side. You have a bolt that actually goes through, and then on either side of the hammer drill, you actually have a receiver. And so all you have to do is slide your bolt through, get it twisted, and make sure it's locked in there. Then you take your one part of your handle and you slide it on. So you don't want it like that. You want it lined up down in there. And then you take your handle and you screw your handle down, and now you're good to go. Now you can use your hammer drill with an additional handle. Now this one is definitely way more cumbersome. So I like the way that Ryobi has improved on that. That's really slick. Much better with the new ones. Same thing with the adjustability. However, in 2005, it still came with these features. So I actually really like the fact that it had those features even back then.
It's been 84 years.
We've got a clutch, so we're gonna be able to go from 24 down to 1. This is going to end up limiting your torque. Let's say put a screw in and you wanna be very careful, especially into something like glass. And of course, it's got the typical twist on it where you can have it do hammer, you can have it do screws, or you can just have it do straight drills. Now this is definitely more snug than the newer one here. The newer one's just a single switch on top. This is very, very easy to do. This one, you can do it with one finger.
That's what she said.
But it is definitely stiffer to do with one finger. And the other thing that I'm noticing here is whenever you have it on hammer, there's nothing up here. Whenever you have it on just straight drill, there's nothing up here. However, whenever you have it on the torque setting, which is for the screws, you can actually see there's an arrow that pops up here, and that's going to be pointing to the torque setting that you have. Is that needed? No, it's not needed, but you know what? It actually lets you know when that functionality is engaged with this system. So I actually really like that. That's really nifty. And of course, it's a typical 2-speed where you have the switch on top, and you can go from high speed to low speed, and that's not changed hardly at all compared to the newer drills. We've got high speed and then low speed with it as well. And then of course we have our forward and reverse switch, which is very typical of all drills. So that's very usual. Now, something that is unusual compared to most of the modern day is you'll see that the modern days all have these magnetic holders in the bottom. And the reason we have these magnetic holders in the bottom is because you're gonna put screws there or bits there, as you can see here. Well, this one has the magnetic base, but it also has an interesting storage location for your bit holder. So instead of being on the front like these are, you can see we have a bit holder here and a bit holder here. It actually slides into the front of it. So that is definitely different, and it's down here into this rubberized membrane. And then for the bit storage, we actually have bit storage here on the back. So we have a flathead, of course, and a Phillips #2, but it actually has onboard storage. Now, if we look at this one, there is no additional bit storage that's on here. All we get is the adapter storage on the front. Same thing with even my brushless model. And this one, whenever I bought it, this was the most expensive model that Ryobi had, but even it doesn't have additional bit storage on it. All it has is the front one where you can put your adapter. Now, if you had one of those longer ones that was a Phillips or a flathead, you could definitely put it in here, but good luck trying to get a regular size bit down in there. Now, some of you might say, oh, well, that's what the magnetic tray is for. You can use it for that, totally on board with doing that. However, if you're actually using the hammer function on that and you're sitting there hitting for a while, drilling into concrete, I guarantee you that all your bits are gonna end up falling off of that. Probably even screws are gonna end up falling off of that. So I actually prefer that Ryobi has these on the back of it. And seriously, what would it take to put those same holders on the newer stuff? It'd take nothing. There's tons of space there. So Ryobi absolutely should be doing something like this with their newer stuff. In fact, all manufacturers should be doing stuff like this. Onboard bit storage is very important whenever you're out there working. So I'm gonna grab a few different batteries here. First, I'm gonna pull out the high output battery. Then I'm gonna pull out one of the regular newer batteries. Then I'm gonna pull out one of these smaller batteries, and then I'm gonna finish up with my oldest battery by far, this weird 2.6 amp hour. It looks like a big one. I mean, look at that, but it's not. It's only 2.6 amp hours. So let's see if I can get this drill to work on all of these different kinds of batteries. Well, first of all, let me try my oldest. Since it is the oldest, it should definitely work. No problems there. Everything works the way that it should. So I am content with that. Let's try the small one. I'm just gonna run it through real quick. That one works the way that it should. The newer 4 amp hour. Same thing there. And then the high output 4 amp hour. And that's exactly what I expected it to do. Again, Ryobi makes all of these to where they specifically are still able to be used in the old blue tools. And that's one of the many reasons why I do like Ryobi.
Hello? I love you.
Now, some of the additional features that I like about this one is the chuck on here is definitely different than the newer style chucks. So this one actually is pretty slow going from full close to full open. And if you compare that to one of the newer ones, watch how much faster this goes. So ultimately what that means is one like this is gonna get you there really quick, but it's actually going to be more difficult to get the tightness that you're looking for. This one is gonna be able to get tighter for you, hold that bit tighter, and do a better job of holding onto it. So for me, if you're going to be doing work with like metal or something like that, I actually prefer one of these that has a finer pitch with the threads, because it's gonna hold onto that drill bit better and has less of a chance of actually spinning the chuck on the drill bit itself. Now, obviously you have different shank style of drill bits. You've got some that are 1/4 inch that actually have the typical 1/4 inch shaft, which those drill bits work perfectly fine, but they're a little bit more expensive. Then you have the drill bits that are actually smoothed on one side or sometimes 3 sides. And if that is so, then what you're going to do is you're gonna line up those 3 sides with the teeth of your chuck. But a lot of drill bits out there, especially the inexpensive ones, are smooth shanked. So that means that they have nothing on them to grip. And so having that extra fine capability of really getting that thing tight on there makes a huge difference whenever you're drilling into harder pieces of material. The other thing you will also see, these teeth here, you can see they actually have splines down them. The newer one does not have the same type of splines down the inside of the teeth. So this means that this one has a higher likelihood of being able to hold on to your drill bits, especially the smooth shank. So of the two, if I'm going to be using one of these, I would rather use this one with the smooth shanked drill bits because it's going to do a better job of holding on to them than this one will. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this brushless hammer drill. As you can tell, it's been through some stuff.
I have seen some
stuff. And whenever I'm working on larger projects, this is what I use. However, recently, I refloored a trailer. Whenever we refloored the trailer, we ended up having to drill some new holes through 1/8" steel that was on the base of the trailer. This kept on spinning out the drill bits every single time that you would put the drill bit in here because they were smooth shanked. If I had had this one would not be spinning out the same on those drill bits. So I actually prefer this style for the pro homeowner.
Act accordingly.
Now, the other thing that came with this is something that I find very fascinating, and it is this little storage system. And it's just got the 2 pieces on it. And all we do is we take it and we slide it where the battery normally goes. And that's it. Now we have tool storage. We have tool carrying capabilities. You could take this and you could lock it onto a tool harness belt. You could lock it onto your actual belt itself, but it also works for storage whenever you're done with it. If you don't want to 3D print all of your stuff, you could actually come up to just a hook and hang your tools off of your hooks. So there's all sorts of different ways that this could come in handy. And the neat part about this is it's not specific to just that drill. You can take your hammer drill here, same thing, take it and lock it in. And yes, those clips are strong enough to hold even this heavy hammer drill. Or we can take it and we can grab our blower and we can do the same thing. And now we can store our blower. So I really like this. This is a really neat feature. And again, Ryobi, start throwing them in your products. Start letting people know that this stuff exists by including it with your gear. That's one of the ways that you can get people to actually try out your stuff is by putting stuff like this within your packages. So that goes over my latest purchased old stuff from Ryobi. And I certainly appreciate the fact that you've watched this far in the video. If you have any questions or comments about these, please be sure to leave it below, like this one here. I appreciate everybody's comments and I like talking with everybody. I still try to reply to every single comment that I'm able to. So I appreciate the conversation and I definitely appreciate all of the positive feedback that I get from everybody within the YouTube community. Thanks for watching.